हे बाकी सब ठीक, बस चल रहा है। बाकी सब ठीक.
GM. I am here on season 2 of the Graviton Podcast and extremely fortunate to have with me Bhand, who is also known to some people around the world as Swapnil Srivastava. And he's the founder of Zo World, Zo House. Zo Gurudev is what I call him now, ever since running into him about 2 months back and becoming a complete Jabra fan. Uh, no dilution of words required. And I'm in awe of the enterprise and the team that Swapnil has set up. The vibe that Zoe House puts out for any new entrepreneur, anyone entering the Web3 space is nothing short of divine, if I may use that word.
Fantastic.
And a lot of the things that have been happening to me lately in my life, incredibly, are also very seriously attributable towards Bhand's direct inputs and direct involvement. So, if you haven't come to Zoe House, I strongly recommend dropping in once and paying a visit to the personal quarters of Bhand while he's in the zone, because you get to experience divinity in motion. With that being said,
I'm so happy that you felt that way, and Zo House has that kind of effect on curious people, if I may add that adjective. And it is always that, bro, that if you are a seeker, you will seek something, and if you're not looking for anything, you will not get anything. And you might just not know what you might get if you are, forget, too many not getting things. So, yeah.
that
But
month of meeting you, people were telling me you should get a guru. You should get a guru. So first I started with personal trainer. I told him Manju because my head works that way. Then I run into you, and the same thing appears. If the student is ready, then the teacher appears. So in our interpretation of the universe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you and I both play this shared dream, and then so I am sort of prepared to meet you, right? And then you run into my life and vice versa. And I still remember that moment, and I recall that every time I talk about you to people around me, that this is one of the first people that I've encountered who his first words to me were, "आके बैठ जाओ, मैं हूँ, सब ठीक है." And that had a profound impact on me throughout the immediately succeeding 48 hours that went. And what happened, what is continuing to happen right now in my life, thanks to that, thanks to those brief encounters, is nothing short of miraculous, which gives me immense pleasure to have you here on this candid chat. As we mentioned, this time we are taking it on, like, we're making it bigger, we are making it bolder, we're making it unfiltered, we're shooting out of Zo freaking house. And we have you as our first guest of honor, so thank you for being here.
Hey, it's a pleasure, and it's amazing that you felt that way. And I think it's the overall energy that I get from the people around me is what I try to, remit, which I try to give out to other people, whoever meets me. And I think it has a lot to do with the people at Zo, the team at Zo, our leader, the CEO, DV. I think he leaves no stone unturned for us to reach to points that even we are unaware of कि अपन कहीं पहुंच सकते हैं, लेकिन कहाँ पहुंच सकते हैं ये पता ही नहीं कहाँ पहुंच सकते हैं. So I think DV is leading the way very well as a CEO, and we have an amazing team at Zo House. Samurai is leading from the front and doing amazing work. And Zo House has become not only the heart of Web3 in Bangalore, and I think overall Indian subcontinent scene में अपन लोग काफी आगे आ गए. So amazing, and so grateful to have an amazing team surrounded. They inspire me every day, and I try to live up to their expectation every day. This is how I keep myself motivated. And every morning when I get up, the reason why I leave my bed so early is I need to give back to this amazing community of builders. And I don't want to be a fucking pylon. I want to, make my worth feel so that they don't say that कि अच्छा हो गया बंद तेरा बहुत हो गया, वैसा नहीं होना चाहिए.
I don't see that tera ho gaya, mera ho gaya happening anytime soon with you. By the way, on that note of getting up from bed, I legit, ये 2-3 बार मेरे साथ हो गया अभी तक. I have gotten out of bed and I've like thought, if I'm not in a good mood, if not in a great mood, a little bit grumpy, कहीं दिमाग में कुछ subconscious चुभ रहा है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, gas भी हो सकता है. But then I ask myself now, how would Bhand get out of bed today? How much would he be smiling? And I want to touch upon that subject, like smiling just for no reason at all, smiling all by yourself, smiling in the face of some adverse situation which the ego can assign any face towards, can and it has been showing me miraculous results. And I remember that one thing very distinctly about you, like in the 48-hour window that you changed my life, you never stopped smiling once. And that had a very deep impact on how much your words, how much your wisdom had a direct penetrative effect on me, I would say. I don't want to get into too much of the specifics there. I want
No, but
to.
I want to specifically say it out loud. ये जो तुमने बोला ब्रो जबरा फैन वाली बात मैं समझ नहीं पा रहा था, ठीक है। अब जितनी देर अभी कॉन्वर्सेशन हुई है, हार्डली फ्यू मिनट्स, आई एम गेटिंग दैट इट हैज एक्चुअली टच्ड यू। आई मैनेज टू रियली टच यू समवेयर, that if it affected your life, and I'm feeling so grateful about that. And और ब्रो सही है, अब मैं एक्चुअली फादर भी बन गया हूँ, है ना। तो अब
हाँ,
I'm now in this new जोन इन माय लाइफ, न्यू एरा चला गया, शुरू हो गया फादरहुड का। और अब तुम गुरुजी बोल, पहले मैं बोलता क्या गुरुजी गुरुजी बोल रहे हो ब्रो, अपन लोग साथ के ये वो, अब तुम गुरुजी बोल रहे हो तो ऐसा लग रहा है हाँ मैं थोड़ा शायद बुढ़ा तो हो ही रहा हूँ, मतलब ऐसा लग रहा है गुरुजी। ठीक है। एंड yeah, cool, bro. So yeah, I'll not. I would rather prefer a little cooler title, but yeah, cool. Guruji is
mainly
fine,
with
I
Jai Gurudev to
guess.
Zo Gurudev, transition was very easy. Plus, there are multiple things. So,
Yeah.
in my theory of this universe, Elon Musk's simulation and the culture that I grew up in, right? Things repeat themselves. Things are a remix of them. Even I look at Jawan, the movie that recently came out. Shahrukh, who's such a great influence. You, आपको मालूम है मेरा शाहरुख मैंने.
Yeah, my
But
fan, bro. I'm a fan. मैं हूँ जबरा फैन शाहरुख का, bro. I can compete the fuck with you on that.
so Jawan to me is again like a remake. Not I'm not saying that it's a it's a version or a remake, but at the same time, at one day and age there was Shahenshah. Amitabh got to do that movie, and he was sort of he portrayed a certain symbol, and that movie represented something for Amitabh in his career. And I see the same thing now happening with Jawan and Shah Rukh's career. And this is a very tiny example of how synchronicity and remixing can work. Like what was Zamindari in the 1800s is probably now groundfloor.com. It's a very weird thing that we recently found out. They're doing the same thing. The things don't go away, they remix themselves. You to me, and I this is on a Web3 platform and very limited audience देखेगा तो controversy का chance कम है, because if I put it out there तो you to me represent a very interesting figure, incidentally, who was also first referred to as Bhondo in Bengali. He also used to, like, it was more of an accusatory statement that was made to this guy by a non-believer who first comes in. 14-year-old non-believer walks into this guy's room and says, "Tumi Bhondo," which loosely translates into "Tum Bhand hai. Tum Bhand aadmi hai, tum logon ko mislead kar raha hai." But then
Right.
eventually ends up dedicating his life and cause to the idea of building a mission and an order surrounded by this man's ideals. That's my parents have sort of subscribed to this. So it's called a mission. I don't want to go very specific into it. The short form is RKM. And I saw this incident, this whole the meeting between this guru and the first shishya. So Shishya's name, 14-year-old teenager's name was Narendranath Dutt, and he becomes a Swami later. And he comes in as a rebel with a cause, saying, because he's involved with the Brahmo Samaj and the atheist orders of the time, which has decided to question traditional religion very head on. And then this one meeting with a spiritual guru sort of changes his life around, and he says, "I want to dedicate my life towards this cause." And their point of contention becomes Advait Vedant, which is the idea that all of us are one being. Whenever I have had the privilege of accompanying my parents to those institutes, I felt very peaceful. And the only question that I keep asking, मेरे को सबको लगता है कि मैं पागल हूँ, कि आप लोग यही बोलना चाह रहे हो ना कि हम लोग सब एक ही इंसान हैं? And every time the answer comes back yes. Yes, that was his main teaching. That you're all one entity. Don't think of yourself as one human being. Think of yourself as one creature, which is learning to enjoy itself, love itself, learning to evolve enough to let go of its pain and become one with itself. And in the process, everything else that is happening, form and play, is just a story that is being told to you. You are telling yourself. So then it became clear to me that you are someone that I have always envisioned also and fantasized that I will have someone that I can look at as a spiritual pillar who will help me evolve in a particular direction, who will miraculously answer questions that I can't even bring myself to ask in front of other people. So that level of intervention happened, which makes me very excited when you told me that you are discovering a new chapter in your life, which is fatherhood. तो मुझे इस बारे में और जानना है. Before the call, we were briefly touching upon subjects of previously undiscovered passions, such as the burp. And if we can.
नहीं, अभी आपने आई थिंक मेंशन किया ना कि गैस भी हो सकता है मूड खराब होने का रीजन. आई टोटली गेट इट ब्रो. लाइक आई फील इट. मेरे बच्चे का जब गैस होता है तो उसका मुंह ऐसे होता है, ऐसे अजीब सा होता है. एंड किड्स हैव द मोस्ट एक्सप्रेसिव फेस. आई थिंक इमोजीज का जो जो इंस्पिरेशन है वो बच्चों के चेहरे हैं, क्योंकि दे कांट हैव वर्ड्स टू एक्सप्रेस, दे डोंट हैव एनीथिंग एल्स टू डू. सो उनके चेहरे हू बहू इमोजीज जैसे दिखते हैं ब्रो. ठीक है, वो अपसेट है तो पूरा ऐसा. हम लोग ऐसे अपसेट तो कभी नहीं होते ब्रो, ऐसे करके कभी नहीं होते. ठीक है, बट आई एम सीइंग दिस न्यू चाइल्ड कमिंग इनटू वर्ल्ड, एक्सपीरियंसिंग फर्स्ट थिंग्स फर्स्ट टाइम. सनलाइट पहली बार जा रहा है तो वो क्या कर रहा है. ठीक है, हवा एसी की लग रही है तो वो क्या कर रहा है. तो एक बहुत ही अच्छा इवॉल्व होता हुआ ह्यूमन बीइंग दिख रहा है मुझे, जो अपने नर्वस सिस्टम को अभी कंट्रोल कर रहा है. मतलब सिंक हो रहा है अभी. ठीक है. और मैं तो बहुत एंजॉय कर रहा हूँ ब्रो इसको. नेक्स्ट
मुझे
लेवल.
हमेशा से क्यूरियोसिटी रहता है कि लाइक इफ अ बेबी इज लाइंग ऑन अ बेड एंड इज लुकिंग एट द सीलिंग फैन, ही इज ब्लिंकिंग हिज आईज एंड द फैन इज गोइंग ऑन एंड ऑफ क्योंकि आप उसका स्विच ऑन ऑफ कर रहे हो. व्हाट इज द इंटरप्रिटेशन, व्हाट स्टोरी गोज ऑन इन द बेबीज हेड? डज द बेबी नो कि मैं फैन ऑफ ऑन कर रहा हूं बाय ब्लिंकिंग? Does the baby know that? Because it's hard for us to fathom that the baby will figure out that the story involves my father and electrical circuit. All of that is definitely not happening. So I used to imagine that babies have their own stories, which makes them so godlike. Because as a baby, everything is, it's that prime moment wherein life is happening for you. We keep saying try to experience life as if it is happening to you. Some of the most transformative experiences that happened to me also, and I'm sure the same applies to you, is when you were able to go back into a childlike state. The state of being in no fear is pretty much childlike. I will laugh at everything. Nothing is a threat. No traffic will hit me. No bad weather will affect me. No, I don't have enemies. Everybody is my friend. If I have to poop, I will go poop. If I have to, nature's call, I will answer, and I will try to smile all the time. When I smile, I make people happy. This is something that is true for babies. When I cry, everybody is concerned about why I am crying. If I can get into that state. So babies to me represent that very divine state. Dad used to go on and on about कि when you, because he my father also, everybody loves babies. He says alpha rays निकलते हैं if you stay in front of a baby for long enough and it is smiling at you, then you actually go ahead, you literally derive positive energy.
I'm
Which
going to tell you something, bro. So I have a friend of mine who I did a project on food, you know. So I was deep into food packaging. Retort as a technology came into India, which lets you pack food for like 3 years without preservatives, and it will be like, it was used in World War II. It's an old technology, but the tech is changing. The machines have grown like smaller, from 2 BHK size to this much size, that kind of thing. So this doctor, his nickname is Noah, and he lives in the mountains, and he's trying to develop his community. I think he's a doctor, he's a microbiologist. He gives out prescriptions for what kind of food you should eat and what kind of crops you should grow in a particular region. So he's like uh, helping a lot of people, like 3,000 families. If they're sick, if they're not doing well, he gives out ayurvedic herbs and stuff. He's a legit doctor. So we were in a project, and he was the head of the scientist wala scene, to make sure that the machine is working properly and the retorting is done well, the boiler is working properly. So when I told him, bro, that I'm going to be a father, you know what he said? He said, don't leave the house for the next 3 months. I said, why? He said, newborn babies emit pheromones, okay, which you inhale because you're living in the vicinity, and it has dopamine secretion value similar to that of LSD level, okay. And bro, I kid you not, I kid you not, this is such a trip, bro.
That
This
makes
is
sense.
such
How else would
correct.
nature ensure that mother and father are programmed to pay complete attention to the baby?
Crazy,
My father
crazy,
tells
bro.
me when I was born, so I am one of India's first IVF kids, 1990 birth. So
Okay.
my my closest ones referred to me as the original test tube baby. So
Hmm.
that because they'd lost two kids before I was born, which made my mother so my dad used to call कि शेरनी बन गई थी तू आया था उसके बाद then
Hmm.
शेरनी बन गई थी. She's behaving like if somebody
Yeah,
wants
yeah,
to
yeah.
take me from her वो ऐसे पकड़ लेगी. Now all of those instincts are if you had to naturally or artificially induce them in a
Yeah.
rational functioning adult today who does not have a child, you'd probably have to use psychedelics. You'd probably
Right.
have to give them some exposure which puts them that's an altered state of consciousness. You know
Yeah,
that
bro.
everything is this. And I have to ask you, do you see your child's face everywhere now? Like
Yeah,
do
yeah. 100% in
yes.
everywhere, everywhere. And that
You're in love. Essentially, this is where you
totally,
discover the
totally.
purest form of love. When I fell in
Yeah.
love, I started seeing this person's face everywhere. This is a different
Yes.
thing that happened for me.
Like
I
in other people as well. If I look at
yes.
you for a long time, I do she's like, तू तो ईवान जैसा लग रहा है यार.
And
ऐसे करके.
that's when I will calm down also. I will be my
Hmm.
best self, and the world
Yes.
behaves as if it is my loved one.
अब समझे ब्रो कि अब सब में ईवान दिख रहा है तो मैं किससे बैर करूं.
Hmm.
किसी से बैर
अब
नहीं कर
मैं एमजे
सकता.
है तो मैं किससे बैर करूं?
समय समय भैया तो किससे प्यार करूं.
किससे बैर
ठीक है, अब
करूं?
सबसे प्यार करना पड़ेगा. अब सबसे प्यार करना है. आप यही मान रहे हैं ब्रो कि ईमान में भगवान बसता है, तो सब में भगवान बसता है ब्रो. ठीक है, तो मैं भगवान की कॉलोनी में रहता हूँ आजकल ब्रो. पड़ोसी भी भगवान है, अभी जो पीछे आके जाते हैं वो भी भगवान है. आजकल लाइफ ऐसी सेट हो रखी है कि पॉडकास्ट भी अपन भगवानों के साथ कर रहे हैं.
Yes, yes.
जूम की दूसरी तरफ भी भगवान लोग ही आते हैं. ठीक है, तो क्या सब लोग भगवान है इसलिए भगवान की वैल्यू कम हो जाएगी? नहीं ब्रो, अपन भगवान की टाइप रहते ही हैं.
हाँ,
ऐसा
भगवान
ही.
भगवान से बात कर रहे हैं भगवान के थ्रू सो इन दिस होल कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ डिविनिटी इवन द माइक्रोफोन एंड इवन दिस अमेजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी which is pinging me across some random 3000 towers and getting me to Lucknow and getting you to Zoo House and this conversation that this was not possible in the 70s and 80s. The people who made this possible believed in the same God that we are
Yes.
talking about. उसको
Right.
दिखा Daniel Kotke kept saying कि Jobs apparently went to some cave in Hada Khan UP when he came down India and he's I swear to you he saw the iPhone 6 in 1975. Now this statement does not make sense. Yeah, in a hunter gatherer world this statement does not make sense, but the minute you say कि हाँ ये हो रहा है हमेशा से यही हो रहा था और अभी भी मैं ही अपने आप से बात कर रहा हूँ, then all the other positive things that are supposed to happen which are मतलब जो अपन daily life में rent reality में अटके रहते हैं ना कि this thing is stuck, this thing is stuck, all those things start moving forward automatically is what I feel. लाइफ में शरारत करो, ये भी आपसे सीखा कंटिन्यूअसली कि लाइफ में हैप्पी इनोसेंट शरारतें करते रहो. आई वुड क्लासिफाई दिस एंटायर Zoho's project. I wanted to tell this to founders. I've been running into founders who are now legitimately in the business of effortless execution manifestation. I think the world has started talking about it, which is why you are in place. I see you taking this mission to different parts of the world, following the same pattern here, because right now that world लोग बोल रहे हैं डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन का टाइम आया है, then where do you put your faith in? Once you talk
Right.
about the decentralized world, I think one good question is where do you put your faith in? If you're able to realize that there is an innocent, selflessly selfish center that is available here for you to put your faith in, and that you can create all good things out of it, that it will branch out in multiple directions. It will help multiple people get the things, get those exact things what they're after. So I met Anuj very recently after joining Graviton. Wall is part of the first portfolio, and I was lucky enough to hit it off immediately. We met on a call like this. We had a socials call, and two or three other founders, I figured that they are either consciously or unconsciously contributing towards the magical manifestation of their journeys. Then
Nice.
Anuj is the one who finally ended up introducing me to you. He said, you have to come and now meet this person. He didn't even tell me what. He said, my location भेज रहा हूँ, आ जाओ. You will not miss this. You will come here and you will like it.
अनुज से बहुत क्रिप्टिक बातें होती है मेरी ब्रो. ठीक
Same,
है,
same, 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 same.
बहुत क्रिप्टिक बातें ऐसे एकदम कुछ वाइब्स में बातें हो जाती हैं उसके साथ. लाइक देयर इज नो कम्युनिकेशन, देयर इज नो वोकैबुलरी हैपनिंग. एक दिन उसका मैसेज आता है, हे ब्रो थैंक यू. एंड आई सेड यू आर वेलकम, यू नो. एंड मैंने फिर भी मतलब मैंने कहा वाइब हो गया है वैसे कंप्लीट. मैंने फिर भी पूछ लिया फॉर व्हाट, यू नो. एंड देन ही सेड फॉर बीइंग योरसेल्फ. ठीक है. एंड आई
Well,
सेड
I expect that. So my answers there. Thank you for being yourself for everything. The other thing
या
will come in as
करेक्ट.
thank you for everything for what.
So I
He left.
replied
I was
like,
very sad
I'll
last
try
weekend.
to
He
keep
left
up.
Bangalore.
Sorry.
I was very sad last weekend. He left Bangalore. We were at his place. He's moving to Hyderabad for a bit. That's a different chapter that he's also going through. But trying to put out invisible ropes to bring him back in. And I really
It'll
don't
be
want to let
fun.
go of physically seeing him around. Like honestly, that he also has an impact. He came into my house, cleaned up my house, like really cleaned up house. And
Wow.
so he was into poker. I think that's when he started getting his brushes with this whole concept of what mindset can do for you in terms of changing external circumstances. And
Hmm.
we realized that I don't know, when I say things like realize, I sound arrogant, even in my own head. I haven't
Hmm.
realized anything. These are educated guesses that I'm
Findings.
making along the way.
Well, literate guesses through of my experience of life. Yeah, go for it, bro. All the disclaimers.
Which would also explain why anything new or any emergent technology also makes it big in the industry. Really, like
Hmm.
what additional X factor do people have which allows an Elon Musk to become a Musk, which allows a Vitalik to become a Vitalik? I saw some
Correct.
references of
Correct.
him jumping on stage. People said he was sleepless during Token 2049 and hadn't slept for maybe more than 30 minutes in 24-hour cycles, but he's still jumping on stage and he has that positive energy which he's bringing out. Now, after this, and I would say after 3 to 4 weeks of intense exposure to this smiling business and the spring business, me and MJ are trying to come up with a term which accurately describes this state of being. It's She says, तुम्हारे नीचे spring लग गया है. And
Huh.
but मैंने बोला कि that is an accurate way of describing it as also. I want to do all the things that I love doing all the time. Speak to everybody that I can potentially speak to. Get into every magical possible scenario. Say yes to any interesting thing anytime it even
Yeah.
pokes its head, without worrying about the toll that it will take on my emotional state. Without trying to come up with that internal defense system that adulthood has drawn into me. Because once I
Hmm.
was a child, once I wanted to go into everybody's godi.
Hmm.
I met D's child right now, by the way, Z legit, and Z is so welcoming. Z just
Yeah.
really put out Z through the window, and I said, "This wo khud mein aa gaya." And then he
Yeah.
did the complete circle and all. So people travel more, people get more experiences when they say yes. You can learn from a child. What good things are happening for a child when the child is being his or her best self
Yeah.
would to me serve as a good template of how I am supposed to behave in my world, in my surroundings, so that my universe is also equally benevolent towards me.
Hmm.
And
Correct.
now I am getting at how to this is definitely a good first step towards that. So thank you. So I've been meaning to figure out a
Great.
good outlet to express this. I have this suspicion that I was born to become a storyteller, which that suspicion
Yeah,
is
you have told
co-shared.
me earlier, and I've heard some amazing stories from you. Yes.
तो अभी मुझे लोगों की कहानियां बतानी है. And Graviton and Zohos are trying to come up with their own version of being friends in
Hmm.
every sense of that word. And while that kicks off, I wanted to take this pilot episode to sort of be an icebreaker, really, because this time I don't want to
Sure.
focus on the nitty-gritties which everybody knows. I want to get deeper into people who are sort of excellent value adds to the space. Like, I don't like, if I call you Gurudev, I have some strong ideas about how people have saved you in their contacts alag alag jagah phone pe.
Okay.
And no, seriously, because then it can't just be that you've had this impact on my life. I see that in everybody's eyes also. When I talk about you, people speak with you with a certain degree of reverence, which is impossible to achieve through authority.
Hmm.
I have seen
Okay.
this. I have worked in scenarios. I'm not going to name people, but then I've seen thought leaders and enterprise leaders ache for the kind of love and reverence and that you already enjoy. I would say that people, wherever you go, people sort of present their best selves towards you because you present your best self to those
सही है.
people.
तो
Now
वो
I'm trying to
बिल्कुल
come
सही है,
up with a
बिल्कुल सही
manual
कह
for
रहे
it.
हो.
Now I'm trying to come up with a manual for it. How to do this? How to activate your spring? How to stay in love with everything all the time?
Beautiful. Manual of the Warrior of Light. Amazing, bro.
हाँ.
Hmm. Crazy. This will be fun.
शिव धनुष यहाँ पे है.
Hmm.
How, how,
Nice.
how do I put that across? कि तुमको जो उठा के जो तोड़ना था, you're supposed to break the frown. ये
हाँ.
हाँ. See, now
Beautiful.
I
क्या
will
क्या
start talking
लगाया
in
है, क्या
cryptic.
लगाया है? फिर तो अच्छी
I will
किताब बन
start
रही है,
talking
मुझे
in
लग
cryptic terms for the show.
रहा
Then
है. ये
we
तो
have to
अच्छी
give
किताब
something
बन
for our audiences also. So the idea is we want this to be a light-hearted platform for people to come in and find answers. Although I'm fairly confident seeing your face does half the job. But I want to give them some concrete ideas on how to achieve their dreams. We discussed goals also. I remember the series of giggles that we had when he said कि मैंने 50 goals लिख के रखा है. But how to really work towards goals by not overworking, by not exerting, by not making it seem like an effort, by putting yourself in the zone wherein you become this chat GPT 99x, which is just executing the things which are meant to happen through you, which is following instructions correctly, and you're not disappointing the prompt engineer. So इस जोन में जाने के लिए I would like sort of take your guidance and be happy if you are able to bring out your wisdom through a series. This can't be just the first one and the last one. We have to keep doing this. And series के नाम के लिए वही अपन ने सोचा बाकी सब ठीक चल रहा है. And covering what else is new, what are those avenues like fatherhood, what are some personal avenues through which you are discovering key unlocks that were previously hidden. And if we are able to showcase the unlocks happening for you, I'm fairly confident that it locks more than a million, it breaks down more than a million locks for people who are actually watching this. And that's what I want this forum to evolve into. So welcome to the grind, Guruji.
Okay, I think there's a fair amount of things which are unlocking because of being a father, यही मानता हूँ ब्रो मैं कि पहले भी ओवरऑल बहुत मैक्रो से चीजें देखने का काबिलियत थी मेरी. अब पता नहीं ऐसा लग रहा है कि इतना मैक्रो भी देख सकता था, ये फादर बनने के बाद रियलाइज हो गया है. सो at that time I was also like when I knew limited, I was not arrogant कि यही है सब कुछ, I know everything, which is good. I think that is one of the personality things I like about myself. But knowing this, there is so much more, and you can see the same world from a very different goggle. Like it's amazing. Like my perspective of everybody I knew before becoming a father has completely changed, bro. And आई डोंट नो व्हेन इट विल स्टार्ट हैपनिंग कि लोग मुझसे कहेंगे कि ब्रो जब से तुम फादर बन गए हो तब से बात करने का तरीका तुम्हारा अलग हो गया है. ये होगा ब्रो, बिल्कुल ही होगा. मैं ऑलरेडी फील कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि वो इमोशन ही चेंज हो गया ब्रो का.
मुझे मैं मेंशन तो नहीं कर रहा, मतलब यू हैव ऑलवेज बीन काम. आई रिमेंबर यू एज द एपिटोम ऑफ कामनेस. अभी थोड़ा वो ज्यादा है, मतलब आई वुड से दैट
वो बिल्कुल ही ठहराव. हमें उर्दू में कहते हैं ठहराव बहुत ज्यादा आ गया ऐसा लग रहा है. अब मैं अपने बच्चे को रोते हुए देख सकता हूँ, ठीक है, नोइंग कि उसका दूध बन रहा है और मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, तो मैं उसे रोने देता हूँ क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि अभी वो बहुत छोटा है. वो जितना ज्यादा रोएगा उसके अंदर की मसल्स वर्कआउट करेंगे और स्ट्रांग होंगी. देख रहे हो, और मैं उसको रोते हुए देख रहा हूँ. कोई और बंदा कहेगा ये किस तरह का पापा है, वो रो रहा है, उसको वो ऐसे शुश भी नहीं कर रहा. ठीक है,
So we
मतलब
used to call this concept what you're mentioning. So the world, the universe is experiencing itself. It's been experiencing itself through you, through your eyes. Now it's experiencing itself through your child's eyes also.
Yes.
So whatever this whole Shiva Shakti logic also, like the observer who is observing behind everyone's eyes, let's call that thing X or Shiva. The name does not matter. And we used to call whatever is being observed, the observable universe, including Mars, Pluto, and the galaxies, and my own skin also, my skin cells, tissue, everything. Whatever is observable, whatever I can touch, feel, hear, see, that is the material of it, 3D of it is Shakti. So Shiva observing Shakti, the thing observing itself. I think which makes us time machines. Now, this interesting question for us is, if I ask where is the time machine, I am a time machine. You are a time machine. You are able to observe the passage of time. Right. Being alive in an organic form, in a very specific biologic organic form, being able to metabolize substance A into substance B through my body, makes me an observer, makes me an active observer. For example, I say that this microphone is also part of my universe and observable, but since it's inorganic, how Jagdish Bose would say is that this cannot observe the passage of time. To this microphone, the past, present, and future are the same. Which means if this universe, this was my biggest question, like if there is an objective associated with this sentient universe which is operating as one entity, what is the only thing that it wants? Continuity of life, and happiness in the continuity of life comes very close, to a purpose, as far as purpose is concerned, which means everything that your universe expects out of you will sort of, in one way or the other, tie into the quality of continuity of your life, your genes.
Hmm.
Richard
Hmm.
Dawkins sort of touches upon this very simple thing in Selfish Genes, saying that we might not have free will as much as we think, but our genes definitely do. They want to
Hmm.
evolve in a specific direction, which is why
Hmm.
events, circumstances are sort of aligning themselves continuously to support the journey of this thing. Now, when you're saying you have become more patient, you have become Therav can directly be linked to patience. So, what do you need to manifest? We had those top three things: infinite happiness,
Yeah.
infinite courage, and infinite patience. So
Hmm.
you already have the happiness. Now you sort of have an added reason to have the courage. Being a parent adds on
Right.
that to you, and then the infinite patience that you have in being able to observe something which is rationally meaningless. What makes people watch a cat for hours for hours at a stretch? What makes people so attracted towards watching, towards meditating, towards not doing anything in particular but just
Yeah.
being in observance? And I see that happening very intensely when that is your own child, because
Yeah.
that version of the universe has that much power over you already. It is already
Right.
directing your destiny, and now it sort of commands that you will become more in tune with that person who can bring these changes happen.
I think two things are happening simultaneously when Ivan is here in my life, my newborn. So he's 14 days old, right? And in the first 14 days, bro, kids don't see anything. It's all a big blur. Imagine your pupils fully dilated,
Yes.
and now they're forming slowly. And so obviously no panka watching. Even if I have to be visible to him, I have to come this close, like this close, and then you'll see a blurry image of me if it's not well lit, right? So what is happening at this time, you will see a lot of hand movements and unfiltered gestures, some activities which are not motor function,
Yeah.
synchronicity, those kind of things. I will roll, the suddenly they will smile and they'll frown. It is like uh,
DMT
windows.
activated state, almost like a
Yeah,
DMT
yeah, exactly,
activated
exactly,
state.
exactly. I didn't want to say this, but now that you said it, it's like full LSD
But
coping up.
naturally, this is what is
Naturally
confirmed.
happening, हाँ.
DMT
कि वो
is released
अपने अपनी
naturally by
बॉडी
the
का.
human brain during birth and death. So during birth, there is an immense surge of DMT which takes time to synthesize,
Yes,
which
and
technically
that
should.
helps you. That helps you take control of your entire body, from your limbages, appendages, everything. You're just syncing, bro. It's like a hell lot of reboot from Windows 97 era, right?
Yes.
And now at this time, I know this is happening with a child in my hand, कि ये हो रहा है उसके साथ, bro. ठीक है? तो उसका प्रेजेंट मैं हूँ. ये जो डायमेंशन है जहाँ पे वो प्रेजेंट है, जिस डायमेंशन में वो सिंकिंग कर रहा है, वो तो मुझे नहीं पता है. वो क्वांटम क्वांटम में है वो तो. ठीक है, क्या अभी अभी हाथ ऐसे कर देगा, अचानक ऐसे सिंघम बन जाएगा, कभी ऐसे करेगा, बहुत फनी 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 हरकतें कर रहा है. ठीक है. एंड लेकिन उसका प्रेजेंट मेरे हाथ में. ठीक है. तो जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, जो साउंड है, वो उस तक पूरी पहुंच रही है, ब्रो.
Yes.
So my son is listening to Sinatra. He's listening to Beatles, and I'm reading out
Nice.
Hindi poetry to him. And I just found out that kids of this age can easily read out high contrast cards, like black and white and red and black, those kind of things. So I have a certain set of play cards. So if I show it to him, he would not stick his eyes to anything. But if I show it to him, he will just watch it for a while. For a while, he'll keep watching, and then I'll change the card on the beat drop of Queen. I'll try to put up a show for him. Like I like to do that. ठीक है, तो ऐसे पूरा करता हूँ, ऐसे करता हूँ. और ब्रो, कार्ड्स नेक्स्ट लेवल ट्रिपी, ब्रो. नेक्स्ट लेवल ट्रिपी. ऐसे देखोगे तो तुम उसमें भूल घुस जाओगे उसमें ऐसे. इस ट्रिप पे इतनी डाइल्यूटेड आइज के साथ अगर वो देखोगे पैटर्न्स, नेक्स्ट लेवल मजे. तो बेसिकली आई एम हेल्पिंग माय son have a best trip of his life, and he doesn't even know it. And I'm trying to feed him with all good cultures, nice things, and this is happening.
Very intrigued about what that. So, if I'm fortunate enough to have like a child sometime soon in my life, I think.
Hmm.
But I also run the risk of becoming a very experimental father that way. So I
Yeah,
saw this
yeah.
movie, A Dog's Purpose, which was about one dog which sort of reincarnates over time. It was done beautifully, and
Hmm.
through my dogs, I have had a very strange experience. People closest to me know about this. Like I lost a puppy when who was my second dog. She was a female dog, And about 2 years later, a random pup on the street at 3 a.m. at night sort of started getting close to me, wanting to forcibly get into the house when I already have two ferocious wolves in the house. So I'm scared of that fight. But this is happening at night. And one thing prompted me to question, like, something is totally alien into this new interface, like you said, into my dimension. Why would it run incessantly towards something unless it was familiar in the first place? What if the puppy is finding me familiar, which is why it's trying to get inside? And out of nowhere, I said, if so the puppy that died is Leah. So out of nowhere, I said, if you are Leah, go up the stairs and come back. I'd seen this in a movie. I'm not kidding. Like, she goes up the stairs and she comes back, and I'm like, okay, this is happening. That's one level. And then calming myself down that this can easily happen. So I tested a couple of times. All that she really wants to do is get inside the house. So I let her in. She walks in, she just calmly comes in and sits in between my two dogs, and they act as if they already know each other. She's been with me ever since. So it's not a big deal because we're dealing with dogs. And I've told my parents and I've told my loved ones that this is, but I wrote a white paper on this. Does the unified field of consciousness allow resurrections? And it's on y42.org, where all my experiments with simulation, spirituality, being happy, what can you do with so-called superpowers, how to use, how not to use, the ethics of it also is being collated there. It started with a study of 42, which I will surely get into with you in one of our upcoming episodes. That should be like a prime agenda, y42. And but उसमें से core ये निकला था कि if I treat human bodies and animal bodies and all biological complex organism bodies as very advanced trainable AI models, which are flesh and blood, which are not maybe like the way you would look at it from a Yash Chopra angle or from a Rakesh Roshan angle, Karan Arjun wala angle, is that you'd have to have a fixed past life and a fixed future life. Reincarnation works that way. But if time is an illusion, if time is a construct of our metabolism, that means any form of memory, any consciousness, we're like pen drives which are continuously plugged in, right? And even if we are not plugged in, we are breathing, which is like Wi-Fi. We are connected to this interface. My body is continuously in interaction with this. Every day I eat, every day I poop, every day I am blending a little bit into the system. It's not like it's not as if I'm even physically disconnected from it, which means I do have all the requisite input and output channels to be able to communicate with any energy and any memory that has gone forth. So after having this experience with Leah, I thought, if you put a child, like a newborn child, in a room, in a very comfortable room, and sort of address this person as Steven or Mohan, you know where I'm getting at. Not teaching the child anything, treating the child with the same reverence as you would have poured out on Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi or Stephen Paul Jobs, expecting to know the answers already. And never really presenting a question or never really feeding any information to them, but treating them with pure confidence, with that smile. You might, like in 13-14 years, you might end up with a teenage Mahatma or
you can. Because with every gesture, with every word you will address to that child from the very beginning, you are setting up a set of expectations on him.
Yes.
हर वर्ड की मतलब, अरे महात्मा जी आप तो ऐसे करते हैं, मतलब आप बताओगे ना कि आप क्या करते हैं महात्मा जी.
हाँ.
ठीक है, हर बार.
And the values and all of it. Yes.
And he will say, okay, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how they're supposed to address me. And you create an entire world around that child, and it's totally, मतलब बहुत अच्छा experiment तुम तो सोचते हो bro. ठीक है, तुमने सोचा कि
लेकिन this would become cruel on the child is the thing.
अरे वो सब छोड़ो ना यार, ये तो अनफिल्टर्ड है. अनफिल्टर्ड है. तो तुम सोचो तुम्हारे पास 10 बच्चे ऐसे मिल जाएं, ठीक है, और उन
जब बड़ा होगा मैं दिखाऊंगा उसको ये
11 करते हैं ब्रो. लेट्स रीसरेक्ट द 1983 क्रिकेट टीम. ठीक है, ऐसा करते हैं, ठीक है, और 11 बच्चों को ऐसे करके कर सकते हैं. तो फिर भी बहुत अच्छा एक्सपेरिमेंट है ब्रो. जो मेरे आइडियाज आते हैं इस तरह के एक्सपेरिमेंट में बहुत हिटमैन लेवल के, कि बचपन से उनको कराटे सिखाएंगे, जूडो सिखाएंगे, बॉल्स पे मारेंगे ताकि ये लोग प्रूफ हो जाए. ये सब सोच रखा है. But sadly, like Ivan is surrounded by loved ones. I can't really kidnap him and do all these things. Like
yes. No. When I've told people about the first reaction that I've got from women is horror. Horror. individual identity, but it stems from the same fact that if we are capable of crafting these false individual identities, then we are equally capable of reigniting real existing identities,
Hmm.
decentralized identities.
Right.
In that case, is how I would call it. That these are not localized towards bodies or bloodlines. They can be called upon and summoned from anywhere, as if the
Hmm.
universe was was operating like a permissionless blockchain.
Yes, yes, yes. And I believe in this thing, bro. I think I'll give you an example, and you will be very surprised that I did this, and क्या coincidence है कि अपन इस बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. So when I was 7 years old, I had a dog, German Shepherd. His name was Sunny, and I used to play with him. वो हम क्रिकेट खेलते थे, बॉल चली जाती थी, वो लेकर आता था. हम बॉलिंग करते थे तब भी डिस्टर्ब करता था कि बॉल हाथ से छूटती नहीं कि सनी ने पकड़ लिया, ऐसा भी होता. And he was a vegetarian.
Hmm.
He would not touch any kind of non-veg food. In on Tuesdays, he would not have food. He would just have milk. And my Nana ji was still alive back then. तो वो वॉक पे जाते थे उसके साथ. सनी उनके साथ जाता था. चेनलेस ब्रो. ठीक है, चेनलेस
That's a
जाता था
dream.
उनके
That's
साथ
a
था.
dream. Yeah.
ठीक है, ऐसा आता था. और फुल अच्छे से लाइफ जिया, हम मेरे साथ खेला, बहुत बहुत चिल किया उसने. सनी वाज लाइक वन ऑफ दोज डॉग्स दैट माय फैमिली रिमेम्बर्स. ऐसा हो गया, संत आदमी था भाई वो कोई. ऐसा गजब आत्मा थी हमारे साथ. सो ब्रो, very recently, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years, 3 years ago, I got this German Shepherd का बच्चा, इतना बड़ा, इतना सा था, मेरे हाथ में ऐसा आया. ठीक है, एंड आई वाज आउट टू अडॉप्ट समबडी, एंड वही मिला मेरे को. उसके 8 भाई बहन थे, सब मेरे दोस्त के हैं. सब लोग का जर्मन शेफर्ड फैमिलिया करके व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप भी है. ठीक है, और अलग अलग दोस्त हैं सारे. सो ऑल ऑफ आवर फ्रेंड्स हैव दैट फैमिली मेंबर, एंड सनी नाम रखा मैंने इसका. ठीक है ब्रो. और मैंने ये सोचा कि मेरी पूरी जो फैमिली है वो सनी को पहले से ही जानती है. ठीक है, सबके मन में बहुत रिस्पेक्ट है. मेरे भाई, मेरे पापा, मेरी मम्मी, मेरे सब लोग को बहुत रिस्पेक्ट सनी का. वो इतनी बातें हो गई ना, प्रमोशन बहुत हुआ है, मार्केटिंग बहुत हुई है सनी की. वो रहे चाहे जैसे भी रहे हो ना, लाइक, लेकिन उनकी प्रमोशन मार्केटिंग ये ऐसे ही हुई है. तो सबके मन में वो एक इमेज है संत आदमी की, सनी. तो मैंने कहा, ये मनाली में लिया था मेरा, जब हॉस्टल चल रहा था वहां पे, तो ये आया था मेरे पास. मैं समझ गया था ब्रो, मनाली का तो ऐसा है कि टूरिज्म पे डिपेंडेंट है. और फिर अभी बीर भी जाना है, गोवा भी जाना है, ये भाई तो बहुत ट्रैवल करने वाले हैं. ठीक है, बहुत लोगों से मिलने वाले हैं. फिर ऐसा भी होगा कि घर भी जाके रहेंगे ये मम्मी पापा के साथ कुछ दिन, ये भी होगा ही. तो मैंने इसका नाम सनी रखा. मेरा भाई मेरे साथ ही था पूरे टाइम, मेरे बिजनेस वेंचर्स में. ही वाज हेल्पिंग, ही वाज लाइक द शेफ, ही वाज लाइक द मैनेजर, ही वाज लाइक द सीईओ ऑफ द कंपनी. ही इज लाइक क्रेजी गाय. And he helped me throughout. So me and Shivam knew Sunny, so we treated him like Sunny. And every time when Sunny was sleeping, we were talking about that Sunny to all our friends and staff member. Everybody treated Sunny like Sunny. ठीक है. और आज ब्रो, सनी यहीं पे ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे है. ठीक है, संत आदमी ऐसा है कि यहाँ गेट तक आता है और अंदर नहीं जाता, बिकॉज द बेबी इज इनसाइड. ठीक है, और वहां जाके आवाज निकालेगा. ठीक है, क्योंकि वो जर्मन शेफर्ड के बाल वाल झड़ते हैं, तो उसको पता है ये बात. तो वो नहीं आता अंदर. और उसको मैं जाके हाय हेलो करता हूँ, उसको नीचे लेके जाता हूँ, खाली करते हैं. और इतनी रिस्पेक्ट आज भी उसी सनी की बातों की तरह इसकी सनी की बात हो रही है. मेरे माँ बाप बैठ के यही बातें करते रहते हैं कि कितना समझदार है हमारा सनी. ठीक है. और ये नाम जब मैंने रखा था, तो शिवम मेरा यंगर ब्रदर से, क्यों ब्रो दोबारा क्यों, द सेकंड कर दो. मैंने कहा नहीं नहीं, सही सही.
I get this
So
thing. Yeah.
I did this experiment sort of thing, but I didn't had this
यार,
in mind.
सीक्रेट ना रॉयल फैमिली को मालूम था.
द सेकंड. ऐसा, बिल्कुल ही ऐसा चाहते ही थे लोग कि एडवर्ड की तरह ही हो बच्चा. ठीक है, ताकि सारे सारे संसार में जितने भी जनगण है उनको भी पता हो कि एडवर्ड ही तो आया है.
Yes.
अगर मैं उसको 10 रिस्पेक्ट करता था, तो इसको तो 11 ही करूंगा मैं.
अब that added love is also there कि एडवर्ड का बेटा भी है and एडवर्ड ही है. So yes.
इट्स लाइक पेप्सी. पेप्सी 10 साल से पेप्सी है. अगले 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 कैरेट का नाम पेप्सी
So
टू
you
थोड़ी ना
just
हो
explained. So I used to tell people that we are stories, we are brands also. We are stories, and
जाएगा.
in that sense,
ब्रांड.
brands.
कि मेरा नाम फर्स्ट नाम मोहन जोहन टोहन कुछ भी होगा, लेकिन लास्ट नेम तो रॉथशाइल्ड ही है ब्रो. क्या करें बताओ, क्या करें, सोचो. तो आई थिंक नाइस.
Nice.
अच्छा लगा मैंने शेयर. ये कभी मैंने शेयर नहीं किया किसी के साथ कि सनी का नाम सनी क्यों पड़ा. सिर्फ मेरा और मेरे भाई को पता है.
तो यही करना है आगे कंटिन्यूअसली एंड
हम्म,
आई थिंक like the messaging we always like when you're trying to create content we all have this inner dilemma that how is this being how is this turning into value add. With you I get this confidence that people will find the answers that they're really looking for in the midst of happy Q&A. So this is like happy Q&A. Still haven't
हम्म,
decided on a name for this. Mostly we'll go with yeah, unfiltered, Graviton unfiltered. And uh,
nice.
that makes it more personal for founders also. So considering the strong roots that Zohouse right now has amongst interesting people, I will not go ahead and classify them as VCs and founders and so on and so on. Amongst interesting people, amongst bros as you put it, we'd like to call upon more bros into this mix. Zoom ka maximum fayda uthayenge. And we'd love to do this from this room. Has an amazing vibe. I could do this for hours and hours at a stretch.
Yeah. Stay
And
hydrated in that room. You know, that room has a tendency of giving you that kind of vibes. जब थोड़ा सा drowsy हो जाता है और गला सूखने लगता है, and you would not know because not you're not hearing your
yes,
saliva go up and down. Stay hydrated, bro. ये मेरे साथ हो चुका है, मेरे और कैप्टन जैक के साथ। हम लोग ऐसे चक्कर से आ गए, फिर हमें रियलाइज हो गया अपन ने सुबह से पानी नहीं पिया ब्रो, इस रूम में बैठे हुए।
ये
ऐसा हो
मेरे
गया
साथ
फिर।
होता है, मेरे साथ होता है. My other Guruji also, by the way, Manju, my
हम्म।
trainer, he reminds me of the same thing कि you don't drink enough water, drink. तो भाई पानी की बॉटल से मैंने लाइट टिका के रखा है. But अभी after closing this, I will consume and I will get out. So I
हम्म।
laughed because then this is also the perfect way to sign off on a podcast. I like you've heard the sunscreen song. Like if I could
सनस्क्रीन बता।
just look up after this episode, no, look up the sunscreen song. You will find the song is called Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen. And the song goes, if I had, and the lyricist goes on and on about life, how you are not as fat as you think as you are, youth is a fleeting thing, all of those things. But if there is
हम्म।
one advice that I can dispense you with, use sunscreen. So ours can be stay hydrated. पानी पीते
स्टे
रहो, बाकी सब
हाइड्रेटेड।
चल रहा है. पानी पीते रहना.
हाँ बिल्कुल, पानी पीना बहुत जरूरी है ब्रो।
पानी पीना
और
बहुत.
एक और चीज बहुत जरूरी है ब्रो, एक और चीज बहुत जरूरी है। आई वुड
Okay,
नॉट लेट यू एंड दिस पॉडकास्ट और दिस सेशन विदाउट सेइंग दिस।
please.
दूसरी चीज बहुत जरूरी है ब्रो कि अ, एक आदमी से एक आदमी को इतने अच्छे से समझ लेना और उसके सभी नेगेटिव पॉजिटिव को ऑब्जेक्टिवली साइड रख के अपने लिए जो लर्निंग्स है वो निकाल के आइडेंटिफाई करना, ये एक फन है जो हर इंडिविजुअल में होता है। बस उसको डिस्कवर करना है। तो ये जो फाइंडिंग योर लर्निंग्स इन थ्रू पीपल है, ये किसी एक पे फिक्स मत करना ब्रो।
Yes.
ठीक है, देयर कैन नॉट बी जस्ट वन पर्सन फ्रॉम, बिकॉज हमारा हम तुम ही है ब्रो। तो इतने सारे तुमने इसीलिए बनाए ना, तुम भगवान हो। तो ब्रो प्रॉब्लम आई कि डैम में पानी ज्यादा भर रहा है, क्या करें? तो क्या करोगे ब्रो कि तुम बोलोगे कि मेरा ही एक रूप वहां खड़ा होगा। ठीक है ब्रो, सेंसेक्स में या कोई ब्रोकर अच्छे से काम नहीं कर रहा, मेरा ही एक ग्रुप वहां खड़ा होगा। ठीक है, एक जो हाउस को चलाने वाला मेरा ही एक ग्रुप है, तभी मैं चैन से सो सकता हूँ, वरना तो मैं किसी और पे विश्वास करूंगा ही नहीं। ठीक है ना ब्रो? तो
Yes.
इतने सारे आपने रूप बनाए, अलग अलग काम दिए, वो लोग आपकी ही तन्मयता से, आपकी ही पैशनेट थोड़ी तरीके से वो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, कितना कुछ सीख चुके हैं जो सबकॉन्शियसली आपने कलेक्ट किया है। लेकिन अब जब मौका मिला है ऐसे कनेक्ट करने का, तो आपने गुरुजी बोल के सीख लिया कुछ। तो इस गुरुजी में और लोगों को ऐड करिए। ठीक है, और लोगों को ढूंढते रहिए, कभी ये मत सोचना कि गुरुजी टिक, ये नहीं हो सकता ब्रो। ठीक है, आई हैव हैड a lot of mentors in my life। ठीक है, बहुत सारे लोगों को मैं एक द्रोणाचार्य का आर्ट वर्क भेजता हूँ हर साल टीचर्स डे पे, कि ब्रो आपसे साल भर बात नहीं हुई, पर ये मत सोचना कि आपसे सीखा नहीं मैं। ठीक है, बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं। और बहुत सारे मतलब 5 10 15 लोग हैं, ऐसे लोग हैं जिन्होंने बचपन से लेके मुझे मेंटर किया है। किसी ने लव लाइफ में किया है, किसी ने एजुकेशन के टाइम किया है, किसी ने जब मैं फेल हो रहा था, रो रहा था, तब उसने सपोर्ट किया है। तो भैया लोग हैं, कुछ साथ के पीयर्स लोग हैं, कुछ को वर्कर्स हैं जो बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं। तो ये सब लोग मेरे टीचर्स हैं, तब जाके भंड बन गया है। सो इफ यू जैसे घोड़े की तरह ऐसे करके किसी एक आदमी पे, किसी एक मिशन पे लगोगे, तो फिर तुम एक अच्छे रेवोल्यूशनरी बन जाओगे, एक अच्छे क्यूरियस नॉलेज के भंडार नहीं बन पाओगे। ठीक है, सो ऑलवेज बी ओपन फॉर पीपल बिकॉज यू हैव अ टेंडेंसी ऑफ अट्रैक्टिंग पॉजिटिव एनर्जीज, यू बिलीव ऑन दैट।
Yes.
तुमने मुझे किया ना अट्रैक्ट, आगे ना हम एक साथ इस यूनिवर्स में, तो जो अगला बंदा आ रहा है उस पर शक मत करना, उसको भी पूरा टाइम एनर्जी देना, फिर रिजेक्ट करना या एक्सेप्ट करना, मौका सबको देना, ठीक है
वो
ना ब्रो?
चीज रिजेक्शन को हटाना ही, रिजेक्शन को रिजेक्ट करना ही गेम समझ में आते जा रहा है कि as long as I accept every voice is mine, then I'll get exactly what I'm looking for all the time.
यू विल गेट एग्जैक्टली वेयर यू स्टैंड इन दैट जोन ब्रो, कि अगर उस तरफ से कोई ऐसा बंदा आधा अधूरा आ रहा है, तो तुम समझ जाओगे कि उस तरफ तुम्हारी ही कमी है। ठीक है, तुमसे ही कुछ कमी रहेगी। हम्म।
ऑल्सो मेरा एक पर्सनल एजेंडा था आपके साथ, ऐसे एनर्जी एक्सचेंज करने से ना थोड़ा सा ताकत मिलता है। आई एम ट्राइंग टू कॉल यू बैक टू बैंगलोर जल्दी जल्दी।
या I'll come bro, I'll come, I'm very excited। थोड़ा सा इवान अपना हेड वेट खुद से संभाल ले, थोड़ा कुछ कर ले, फिर मैं आता हूँ, इवान को लेकर ही आऊंगा मैं।
डन
ठीक है,
डन 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 डन
हाँ
डन डन।
बहुत मजा आएगा।
वो मेरा क्या ट्रिप रहेगा सोचो।
काफी सही, तुम भी डिस्कवर कर रहे हो अपनी नई लाइफ में बहुत सारे लवली चीजें, पॉजिटिव एनर्जीज। सो गुड टू हियर दैट ब्रो, कीप इट
He's
कमिंग, टॉक
also
अबाउट इट
excited
एंड
to meet you. We've had so many conversations about you and how you led to that happening. Uh, he's very excited to meet the man at the source.
आ गया, सही है,
I think, yeah,
cool, perfect, I
cool.
think that's my call, that's my time sir, and thank you for having me here on this। मुझे लगता है मुझे इसकी जरूरत थी, इसलिए मैं आ गया इस कॉल पे। एंड
I think this
अभी
is very important that we keep doing this.
यस
No
यस
kidding.
एब्सोल्युटली।
And so everybody, this can become a good platform for me to interact with newer voices and newer, because I already know that you are the focal point of many such voices, and I would want to create this platform as a safe space to discuss things that you don't discuss with anybody, because ये किसको बताएं। तो वही वही
फैंटास्टिक।
हाँ,
आपको मैंने एक बात बताई थी, मैसेज किया था कि ब्रो मेरे पास कुछ प्लान है पॉडकास्ट को लेके, हो सकता है कि हमारे थॉट्स अलाइन कर जाएं और हम कुछ कर लें एक साथ। तो मैं आपको बता देता हूँ कि वो 100% अलाइन कर गए हैं। और अगर हम इस तरह का स्पेस बना रहे हैं जिसमें मैं, आप और +1 +2 टाइप के लोग आ रहे हैं,
yes,
ठीक है, और उसमें हम इस तरह की बातें कर रहे हैं जिसका कोई सर पैर नहीं है लेकिन बहुत कुछ है, ठीक है, तो आई थिंक इट 100% अलाइंस। द नेम also 100% aligns that you also have never thought of, I also not thought of। तो एकदम
ठीक।
बराबर ही है, ठीक है, और
बाकी
लेट्स सी।
सब ठीक, बस चल रहा है।
बाकी सब ठीक, बस चल रहा है।
हे, बाकी सब ठीक, बस चल रहा है। बाकी सब ठीक, बस चल रहा है।
एक सोच, एक सोच अकल से फिसल गई, मुझे याद थी कि बदल गई। मेरी सोच थी कि वो ख्वाब था, मेरी जिंदगी का हिसाब था। मेरी जुस्तजू की बरख्त थी, मेरी मुश्किलों का वो अक्स थी। मुझे याद हो तो वो सोच थी, जो न याद हो तो गुमान था। मुझे बैठे बैठे गुमा हुआ, गुमान नहीं, खुदा था वो। मेरी सोच नहीं, खुदा था वो खुदा कि जिसने जुबान दी, मुझे दिल दिया, मुझे जान दी। वो जुबान जिसे न चला सके, वो दिल जिसे न मना सके, वो जान जिसे न लगा सके। कभी मिल के तुझको बताएं हम, तुझे इस तरह से सताएं हम। तेरा इश्क तुझसे छीन कर, तुझे मैं पिला के रुलाएं हम। तुझे दर्द दूं, तुझे दर्द दूं, तू न सह सके। तुझे दूं जुबां, तू न कह सके। तुझे दूं मकान, तू न रह सके। तुझे मुश्किलों में घिरा के मैं कोई ऐसा रास्ता निकाल दूं, तेरे दर्द की मैं दवा करूं, किसी गर्ज के मैं सिवा करूं। तुझे हर नजर पे उबोर दूं, तुझे जिंदगी का शऊर दूं। कभी मिल भी जाएंगे गम न कर, हम गिर भी जाएंगे गम न कर। तेरे एक होने में शक नहीं, मेरी नीयतों को तू साफ कर। तेरी शान में भी कमी नहीं, मेरे इस कलाम को तू माफ कर। यूसुफ बशीर।
अभी आप यूनिवर्स की तरफ से बात करते हो तो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड, सो जब भी इवन इफ इट इज बाय बशीर, यू आर रीडिंग इट टू मी, इट इज कमिंग टू मी,
यस,
वो आया।
आई गया,
थैंक यू
लेके
मैन।
आना था मुझे, बहुत ही अच्छा है, सुनना कभी तो। यूसुफ बशीर ने खुद भी इसको बहुत अच्छे से नरेट किया है, ढूंढना इनका यूट्यूब पे। चलते हैं फिर, इजाजत। बहुत
इजाजत।
अच्छा लगा, बहुत मजा आया। और स्टे हाइड्रेटेड
स्टे
एंड
हाइड्रेटेड। जो
यस,
गुरुदेव।
टेक केयर।
टेक केयर सर।